Hello and welcome to Derail Valley, a little tutorial step-by-step video on how to restore the SH282 demonstrator engine. If you have a specific question regarding restoration, you can check the timestamps in the video description. But for now, let's go to the first step. The very first thing you'll need is a license to the museum. This license will cost $15,000 and actually increase the time bonus by 5%. So let's buy the license. Notice a pop-up in the top left corner telling you that you now can restore demonstrator locomotives. Next thing up on the list is a little shopping tour. There are some things we need in order to restore and then operate the steam engine. First, we'll need some oil. That oil can. Then we'll need a shovel to shovel the coal, and we'll need a lighter to light the coal. And while we're at it, buying some sand cans and some Derail Valley Railway Company paint. But I did a little error here, you actually need 3 cans each. All this should be available at pretty much any shop in the valley. This next step isn't really necessary, but at the goods factory you will actually find 2 more shovels. An expert shovel, letting you shovel less and having more control over your fire, and the golden shovel will actually shovel more in order to fill up the firebox quicker. Meanwhile, at the machine factory you can find another set of paint. So if you want the demonstrator paint scheme, you have to buy these cans. But notice that they are double the price of a normal paint schemes. And while you're here, you should grab Olaf's garage key. With all that preparation done, we can start the restoration of a locomotive, but first you have to find it. Mine spawned here at the harbor, right next to the roundhouse, but yours can spawn pretty much anywhere in the valley, better said, anywhere in or near a station. We now need to rerail the locomotive. So pick out your remote, select rerail, and select the track where you want to rerail it to. But don't forget, the SH282 is a 2-unit consist. You need the tender as well. Next thing you need to do is move your demonstrator to the museum. For that, just take whatever locomotive you want that can actually pull the 120 tons. Connect it up like usual. Release the handbrake. And move to the museum, which is located in City South. You can pretty much ignore these noises by the steamer. It is 100% damaged anyway. As you're coming to City South, make sure your switches are set correctly to take you to the museum. And slow down a bit. This part right here is very sharp. I wouldn't recommend going over 20. And especially the first time at the museum, you should slow down and prepare to stop, because the turntable is unlikely to be in the right position. As you can see here. And this turntable can be really finicky. When you press the Alt key, you see the indication for the buttons, but you can't press them for some reason. But over here at that pillar, there is a control you can use. From here also the hotkeys are working. Now find the correct bay for the S282 and move it in there. So, if you notice the pop-up, you already know what to do next. This steam engine needs new running gears. In order to buy them, get to the office, put on your wallet, and buy them. Unfortunately, these parts aren't here, and they have to be brought in from the machine factory. For this, you have two ways to do it. One is this car here. A utility short flat car. You can hook it up to pretty much any locomotive. Or alternatively, you go to this little shack at the southeast entrance of City South, which is actually Olaf's garage, and use Olaf's garage key. In here you'll find this little modified rail bus, which can be used to pick up the parts from a machine factory as well. Drive up to the machine factory and head for C1L, the loading track. Stop on the loading track, go to the console and select load. As you can see, the new running gears are now loaded onto our bus. Now you drive back to the museum. In order to unload at the museum, just drive on the turntable, stop there, and it should unload itself. Now you have to install the running gear. In order to do that, again go to the office and pay the fee. Voila, it's installed. Now it's time for the actual repair. For that they need to move over to the repair station. The repair station is located over here in bay number 3. As you can see, all individual parts of a locomotive are 0. So we have to fill up the sand, fill up the oil, repair the body, repair the wheels, and repair the mechanical powertrain. Sorry. This ain't cheap and you get a pretty hefty repair bill. But again, don't forget, the SH282 consists of 2 parts, the locomotive and the tender. The tender is to repair it as well. And that's another 29,000. While the locomotive is fully repaired, you shouldn't move it by now. It has to be oiled first. For this, you open up these oil caps and fill them up. And don't forget to close them again. Then you should prime the old system by rotating this lever. Both glasses should look full. Then you can move over to pit number 1 to fill up the coal. That little sound cue tells you that the tender is in the correct position for refill. Move over to the controls and fill her up. But don't forget to pay. The coal won't be there unless you pay. Next up is the most asked topic on the internet, the water fill-up. For that we move over to bay number 2. Open the service door, and you can see the tender is empty. There's no water in it. Now fill up the water tank. And again, don't forget the pay, unless there will be no water. And the pop-up here is gravely misleading. This train is not ready for operation. At the moment the water is back here in the tender, but the boiler is actually empty. So open up the injector and let the water flow in. At that point you might get the impression that there's nothing happening, but that's not correct. You can hear it. It is filling up, but the boiler is really big. It goes from here all the way back to here. Sure, there are some pipes and the firebox in it, but the rest is pretty much empty space and has to be filled up first. And if you look into the tender, you can actually see the water level dropping in there, showing you the water actually flowing forward to the boiler. And this process takes a very long time. Sooner or later, the water flow will just stop. But we still don't have enough water in the boiler. We just used up all the water in the tender, as you can see here. Fill it up again, don't forget the pay. And as soon as you pay it, water is in the tender and you can hear it injecting again. And we repeat. Eventually you will see the water level rising. When the water level is at the top of a service indicator, it's time to stop the injector and you're set to operate the locomotive. But now the temperature is empty again. It took 2 full tenders to fill up the boiler and 13 real-time minutes. Finally, it's time to move to the paint station, which is in bay number 4, next to the repair area. Here you select the paint tool by clicking on it. Next you install a sand can and spray your locomotive. Or better said, spray your locomotive and your tender. Remove the can by clicking, select the next and repeat. Finally we will sand the interior. Now you paint it, either with a Derail Valley Railway paint or with a demonstrator paint. Let's choose the demonstrator. As a pop-up tells you, your locomotive is finished. The only thing to do now is to heat up the boiler. Open the doors, get your shovel, and shovel the coal. Fill up the firebox and light it up. You can see the fire temperature already rising. Make sure that the damper is open, that the fire can pull air from the bottom. And open the blower so that the draft will increase the intensity of the fire and the temperature. Now you have to wait till the boiler builds up pressure. And again, patience is key. There's really a lot of water that has to be heated up. Eventually you will see the pressure rise. For the purpose of this video, that's enough. So I can close the blower. And now it's almost ready to move on its own power. Again, make sure that all the caps are oiled. The oil system is primed. Start the compressor. And start the generator. We can now switch on the lights. And we're ready to go. Open the brake disconnect so that you can actually release our brakes. Move the control forward. Make sure the cogs are open. And apply a bit of pressure. And that's it. Those were all necessary steps to restore the S282 demonstrator engine to its full glory. I hope my video helped you. Have fun in the valley and happy training.